Hi, I'm Trevor Boucher, and this is Demi Keller. We're with Impact of Oregon. I'm the owner and CEO, and Demi is our assistant office manager slash children's chauffeur slash office glue.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So we just wanted to start a podcast, talk a little bit about the services that we provide. Oddly enough, there's a lot of people out in the community that have family members with developmental disabilities that have no idea that agencies like ours even exist. And so the purpose of this podcast is to educate people about Impact, what we do, what services are available for people that have family members with developmental disabilities.
Yeah. So even just as a personal story, I found out a couple weeks ago a family friend of ours just had her son move to a different state to help, be with his other parent to get more of the supports that he needs. And I said, I wish I had known that they were having issues because we could have done something about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully in the future we'll have that opportunity. Maybe they'll come back here. But it's really sad to hear how unknown our agency is, or agencies like ours are, the supports that are out there for different disabilities.
Yeah, hopefully this podcast will help change that a little bit, create a community awareness for, like I had mentioned, for the families that do have family members with developmental disabilities, that agencies like ours are out there and supports are available at no cost to the family.
Just to kind of give a background as to how that's not, there's no cost to it. There is what's called a K plan, which is like a government assistance, so to speak, that you can apply for and see if you qualify for. And it is a lot, there's steps to it, but it's a lot less that they have to,
right,
worry about. It's fairly easy for them to do.
Right. And the first step, if you have a family member with a developmental disability and you've never had services, the very first step would be to reach out to the Jackson County eligibility specialist.
Or the county specialist for wherever you're at.
Right.
Statewide, yeah.
Right.
At that point, who do they ask for? Do they ask for an eligibility specialist? Do they ask for a service coordinator?
Eligibility specialist.
And can you explain that process?
So eligibility specialist will kind of look to talk with the family, kind of get an idea of the disability, try and see if there's been an official diagnosis. Unfortunately, services can't be provided without an official diagnosis, so that's a part of it. But even that being said, there's still a lot of families out there that have a family member with a diagnosis that have still never had services, sadly.
Okay. What are the different disabilities that we see often within our agency or our industry?
I'd say some of the most common ones that we provide supports for is autism, followed by Down syndrome, followed by fetal alcohol syndrome.
Cerebral palsy is a big one.
And cerebral palsy. And then that other one.
The other one?
Attention deficit syndrome.
ADHD?
ADHD.
ADD?
Okay, ADHD.
And if my child has an IEP at school, how does that go hand in hand with having services?
Yes and no. An IEP is an indication that there is a disability, and it helps with the eligibility specialist determine that there is a disability. But an IEP, an individual education plan, is what schools use to set up an education plan, as it says, for that individual. And so more than likely, when they have an IEP, an individual education plan, then they do have a diagnosis.
And just kind of to gain more background as to what Impact is in general, do you want to give kind of the backstory on why you guys started Impact and what the goal is that when you guys started it back in, 2019?
2019. So, we moved to Medford from Bend in 2008, and something that we noticed here, all throughout Oregon, but more so here, there just seems to be a lot of people with disabilities here.
Yeah.
And so I had mentioned this to my nephew, who had an agency in the Portland area, telling him about the need here. And throughout the years, we'd kind of talked about potentially partnering up and opening up an agency here to serve this community. And so we actually did that in 2019.
Awesome. And what do you think the biggest impact or the biggest significance has been, or the biggest change in the community has been since you have started in this industry?
Seeing the growth that individuals can experience that haven't had services. When you have somebody that's working with them on a regular basis on their ISP. ISP is individual support plan. When they're working on items in the ISP and they're making growth, that's the biggest thing for us. At Impact, when we're referred a new customer that we provide supports for, or a new member as we like to call them, we never assume that they don't have room to grow. We always want to assume that there's room for improvement, and we always are working towards that end.
Do you want to kind of give a little bit of personal history for everyone to kind of get to know you as the owner and CEO? Who is Trevor Boucher?
How much time do you have? So I grew up in Oregon, primarily in the Willamette Valley. My mom was a single mom, and I had 4 brothers, still have 4 brothers. So single mom with 5 boys. We were hellions, for lack of a better word. So we moved around a lot because we would frequently get kicked out of our apartment buildings. So when I say Willamette Valley, Salem, Malala, Canby seem to be those 3 communities that we moved around between the most. But I was getting into a lot of trouble in high school.
I would have never guessed.
And so I actually went into the military 2 weeks after I turned 17 to kind of get myself out of trouble. And so I have to say the Army probably saved my life, saved me from going down the wrong path, continuing to go down the wrong path. And then after getting out of the military, I went to school to be a surgical tech. I wanted to be a PA, and you had to have 2 years of medical experience before you could apply to PA school. So I went to surgical tech school to get my 2 years of experience. And then you get married and you have a mortgage, and suddenly I'm been a surgical tech for 17 years.
Yeah.
Then I left the hospital in 2013 to start a real estate career with my wife. And it was kind of funny because real estate was really booming. We were very successful, and people thought we were crazy to kind of shift gears from this successful real estate business into something that was everyone thought was kind of like an unknown. But we kind of had in our heart that we wanted to do something that served the community.
Yeah.
And of course, in real estate, you can serve people. You're helping people with different periods in their life, first-time homebuyers, people who are downsizing, people who are growing a family and need a bigger house. But this is service on a different level. Yeah. It's more intimate. And when you help people that haven't had help, who kind of are at the end of their rope, and you are able to provide supports for them and see the person getting supports grow and see the family getting the relief they need, it's hard to put into words how rewarding that is.
Tell us a little bit about your fabulous, wonderful wife, Gina, who's here in our office with us every day.
Gina is a true blessing. So she's the office manager. So we kind of have things divided up into paper and people. Paper being more admin side, people being more DSPs and families. Yeah. And so Gina is in charge of the paper side of things. It's funny because in our real estate business, she was in charge of contracts. So she naturally gravitates towards that. It's what she's great at. So yeah, Gina's a big part of this as well.
She's a bright light. She's so kind and refreshing, and she's fun to be around. And I know it is fun for me to come to work every day and have you guys here.
All right. That's good to hear.
What would you say, like, what is impact in a whole general kind of summary? What would you say impact is? What do we do? What is the biggest kind of goal that we have in mind?
So impact is a lot of things. To serve the population that we serve, we hire what is called a DSP, a direct support professional. And actually the qualifications to be a DSP are actually fairly limited. It's not hard at all. You have to be someone that can pass a background check, have to have a valid driver's license, have to be over 18. Yep. And then most importantly, you have to have a heart to serve. that's when we're looking at hiring DSPs, that's the most important thing. Do they have a heart to serve?
Yeah, there's a lot of compassion and a lot of energy that goes into this field, but in a very rewarding way.
Correct. Yep. So once we've hired the DSP, then we match them with the families to provide supports for the individual in the family that has the disability. And then the DSP is supposed to be working on items that are within the ISP, the individual support plan. So the DSP isn't a glorified babysitter or just a companion or a pal. They have an agenda, and it's working on those items, individual items that are in the ISP, the desired outcomes and goals.
Right.
So they're supposed to be helping the individual they're providing supports for reach goals and make progress in their daily lives. A lot of it has to do with just independent living skills.
Yeah. I know as the assistant office manager, I have so many different kind of roles, and one of the biggest ones I have is talking to DSPs on a daily basis about different things, helping them log their time, helping, we have so much help here within the office too to help our DSPs be able to provide that.
Our DSPs are very well supported thanks to you and the rest of our office staff. Yeah, absolutely.
We have a really good team here in terms of myself, our county managers, our assistant county managers, our event coordinator. We have a lot of different
So speaking of event coordinator, that's one of the things that we're very proud of. One of the things that we feel separates us from other agencies is that we're very focused on doing events and getting the people that we serve out into the community.
Yeah.
We have a whole calendar of events.
Just had a craft day downstairs, a week or two ago?
Yep.
We're getting ready to have another one for St. Patrick's Day.
Right. And then my favorite event that we do every year is the jet boat ride in the summer.
I missed it last year. I'll get to go on it this year.
Yep. And then, of course, we went to a couple Medford Rogues baseball games. Medford Rogues, if you don't know, is a summer collegiate league here in Medford. Very exciting, fun to watch.
Yeah.
We had our 3rd annual Halloween costume ball. That's one of the favorites as well.
That had a big turnout.
Day at the pumpkin patch, just all kinds of things that we're doing to get the people that we serve out into the community. We feel that's very important.
And for them to meet others that are alike, like them and have those connections as well.
Right. Yeah. And also, we're going to do one event that's a little bit different this year. It's just for parents and providers. We're going to take them on a jet boat trip, Hellgate and Grants Pass. It's going to be the dinner jet boat trip.
That'll be fun.
That's just for parents and providers, just to give them a little break.
Little respite.
Yep.
Respite care that we provide.
Speaking of respite, not all agencies provide respite. Respite is a 24-hour shift where the person with the disability will stay away from the home, either with the DSP, or it could work vice versa. It could be that the DSP stays at their house and the parents are able to leave for a weekend. That is something that we provide as well.
Yeah, the parents and guardians are really, really thankful for that when they find out that that's something that we offer, because a lot of the time they don't get to have those, weekends away or that time away to kind of catch their breath and re-energize themselves when they deal with so much on a daily basis.
Right.
So that's really beneficial for them and for our customers too, or our individuals that we support. So I would say if, anybody that's out there that's listening or watching this podcast, we're going to start doing more of these, right? We're going to start doing these every weeks to come. And
this is the first of many to come. And the goal of this is just kind of get the word out there about Impact, the services that we provide.
I'd say if you have an interest in becoming a DSP, or if you have a loved one that has developmental disabilities and you would like more information without pressure, I'll have our contact info here on the screen for you guys so you can jot that down and get a hold of us, reach out. Our website is also a great wealth of information, things like that.
Right. And I'd like to leave with just one final thought, that we truly want to be a voice and advocate for people who are experiencing neurodiversity.
Yeah.
And that's another big part of what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
Creating awareness.
Absolutely.